Welcome back to your source for fantasy hockey news, degenerate gambling breakdowns, and hottest NHL information. It's the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast, Friday edition, and we got a few different takes for y'all. To wrap up the week, we're taking a look at some top landing spots for one of the biggest trade targets in the NHL. We're taking a look at a little who would you rather between two of the hottest names in the NHL. And of course, big time bets to wrap up the week and the episode. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Happy Friday, and let's get this paper.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome back inside the lab that is the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us for this Friday edition. Happy Friday, like I said, and thank you for making us your first listen. Every single day, we see and appreciate all of the love and feedback across all the platforms you find your favorite and hottest content, where you find this episode and this show. And thank you so much for always riding with us Monday through Friday, where you can find this show. Steele, speaking of this show, we got a lot to get to on today's episode. I say that a lot, but I really do mean it. It might not be the latest updates. It might not be a ton of big time bets. We got a small board tonight, but we got some bets ready to roll. We're both on fire right now. I'll take that very much. But we have a few intriguing segments that we have to bring to the listeners today. We're going to get to the top 3 fantasy landing spots, 3 or 4 for Bo Horvat. Ones that make the most sense, but ones that also might maximize his fantasy value. His name is out there, so we have to talk about it. And let's talk about a little who would you rather between two absolute studs. I'm going to tease it. Stay tuned for it for those two names. It's one player from the West. It's one player from the East. Two big-time snipers. We'll get there, though, Steele. We'll get there. Why don't we kick it off, though, with what has been a very hot topic? Bo Horvat, the Vancouver Canucks in general. We got the bloodbath that was the Jim Rutherford press conference. A lot of things to take away from this, but the main one is when a team is basically said they're going to have to move their captain, Steele, we have to pay attention because this is going to mean major fantasy implications for both Bo Horvat and whatever team he goes to. So let's take a look at some of these top teams that make sense for a landing option for Bo Horvat. I'm excited to see who you have on your list, 3 or 4. I have 3 or 4. Where do you think Horvat is going and why?
Yeah, I've got 2 teams right now that are probably going to be in the playoffs at the end of the regular season, and one team that most likely will just miss out. I'll start off with the top team, the reigning Stanley Cup champion, Colorado Avalanche.
Yes,
that
sir.
would be a great fit for Bo Horvat.
Yes,
and I think
sir.
at the same time, it would be a great team to target for the Vancouver Canucks to get some assets in return, assets on the blue line, some prospects, some picks. So, I'm throwing some names out there. I'm spitballing a little bit, but what about Bo Horvat for a guy like Samuel Girard, Logan O'Connor, and maybe a pick or a prospect on top of that? Because I have heard a little bit of rumors, and I don't want to confirm anything, but I have heard rumors that the Colorado Avalanche are trying to offload one of their young defensemen to create more cap space and bring in another center, another forward to join their top 6 because that hole that Nazem Kadri left in the offseason. How great and special would that top 6 forward group be? Nathan McKinnon, Arturi Lehkonen, Gabriel Landeskog when he comes back, and then the second line of Nichushkin, Horvat, and Rantanen. That would be an elite top 6 forward group for the Colorado Avalanche. Be more confident and comfortable with their offensive group heading into the playoffs. Again, losing a guy like Nazem Kadri in the season he had last year, it created a hole for them, no doubt about that. So going out and solidifying, again, your top 6 group, if you have to give up a guy like Samuel Girard, so be it. He does have a no trade clause in his contract, but that doesn't come into effect until the last 3 years of his contract, and he's still got 5 years left. So he's at the will of the Avalanche right now, and I could definitely see the Vancouver Canucks trying to target assets that they need, and that's identifying their needs, which is the blue line.
Per TSN's Darren Dreger, they have specific needs, and the 3 needs that he highlighted were cap space, a young right shot D-man, and a young NHL center. So these are some intriguing things that now your head starts to swirl, Steele. And you mentioned Gerard. I don't know if, he would be the piece that they go after. Maybe it's Bowen Byram. I don't know. But
I
like
don't
you
think the
said,
Avalanche would be willing to give up Bowen Byram, though.
this is just the thing, but they're getting it done this year without Bowen Byram. So if they really do feel like that center position is the need, I'm with you. I don't think I would even go off and sell Bowen Byram. But the Avalanche are almost seemingly perfect partners for the Vancouver Canucks. The reason why I wanted to talk about this and the reason why I sent you this is because the rumblings are starting to get louder about the Boston Bruins and the Vancouver Canucks. And that's where I have to go to first because this Boston Bruins crew, aside from being right there at the top of the table, and really this could push them over the top, they're ready to move on up the middle. They need help anyway, and Krejci and Bergeron might not be around much past even the end of this season or next. So Bo Horvat makes a lot of sense for this team. He just looks like the prototypical Boston Bruin. I know this would probably drive Vancouver Canucks fans up the wall that we're even saying.
It would drive everybody up the wall. That would be
including some Toronto Maple Leafs fans. And obviously, a lot of the teams that I'm talking about, Steele, if Bo Horvat were to become a member of this franchise, they're going to have to get interesting and, maneuver this cap because not many teams can handle the cap space. So that's number one. And number two, Boston Bruins definitely going to be in the mix for Bo Horvat. That's already out there and it makes sense to me. My second team, another Eastern Conference juggernaut, in the New York Rangers. I can't help but feel, I know there's no cap space there. It might not make a whole lot of sense on paper, but this team is one piece away from really being right there as the Stanley Cup frontrunner. And Bo Horvat, to me, would do that. And then you look up the middle and you have Trocheck, Horvat, and you have Zibanejad. That's the best center group in the NHL, and in my opinion, it's not even close if you can add Horvat. So how do they get it done? I don't know, but they have pieces. Lafreniere, Capo Caco. Maybe they're not as high up on the value chart right now, Steele, but we know the Rangers have some of these pieces to get this deal done.
That would be very interesting. I'm very surprised that you mentioned the New York Rangers. I didn't even think about that, but that would be very, very good for them.
It's spicy.
It's definitely spicy, and you and I talked about this many times. They are just one piece away from being one of the elite teams in the NHL. I'm looking at another team from the Eastern Conference, and I might have said them for a couple of other trades, the Carolina Hurricanes right now. That would be a good fit for them. They need some more offensive productivity as well. They are the 18th best team in the NHL goals for, so they definitely need some more offense, and Bo Horvat delivers that. He's scoring goals at will right now, and he would be great playing in the top six with that Carolina Hurricanes group. And again, I'm just spitballing here, but there's a couple of defensemen and young players in their lineup right now, like Kotkaniemi, a young D-man like Chatfield or Coughlin, guys like that. Again, another prospect on top of it. They have a lot of young prospects and players that are playing for them right now that could be a part of a trade. And honestly, I think the Hurricanes just need to get rid of Kotkaniemi. He's not good. 16 points in 43 games.
That might be a hard sell.
It might be a hard sell, but again, he's a young player, so maybe the Vancouver Canucks can do something with him. They can develop his game a little, give him some more top six playing, and
they need to get younger. They need to shake things up.
Exactly. So I'm just spitballing with some names here, but
I'm with it.
I'm looking at their lineup right now. You got Paul Stastny as the second line center between Nakash and Svechnikov. Then you got Jordan Staal, and there's no disrespect to Stastny or Jordan Staal whatsoever. I love them as players, but they would be a better fit and a better role in the bottom six center group. And if you can somehow get Horvat, just think about it again. You've got Sebastian Aho, Max Pacioretty on the top line. And that second line, and you've got Horvat, Svechnikov, and Nakash. It would be an elite line. And like I said, they just need the offense right now. They're a great team. They're a stingy defensive team to play against. But if they can get their goal up, scoring goals up a little bit more heading into the playoffs and in the playoffs, they would probably be the favorite right there with the Boston Bruins.
It's one of those things, Steele, that this player is going to get moved. We've heard it from Jim Rutherford. We've heard it from pundits in the league. He's going to get moved. That's why you have to keep an eye on this player, because not only is he that good that it matters if you just own him, wherever he goes, those peripheral pieces around him are immediately starting to get a lot better. I'm going to mention my last team right after the break. We're going to talk about a little who would you rather between Mikko Rantanen and David Pastrnak. Steele and I are going to go toe-to-toe here. I feel like this is going to be a bit of a heated argument. And we're going to wrap the show with big-time bets. But let me just tell you about our friends at Built Bar. If you're looking for that delicious treat, you know it's the January season. We're looking to get healthy. But with Built, healthy is actually tasty. Seriously, they're delicious, and you don't think they're even good for you. That's how delicious they taste. Perfect for all of those New Year's goals and resolutions. What makes Built so good, like Steele and I love to say, they're covered in 100% real chocolate. That's right, Steele's favorite 100p real chocolate. And they come in unbelievably delicious flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, and coconut almond. Come on, get with me. You need to get some Built. And it's not just about the taste. It's because it's actually good for you people. Only 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, and a whopping 17 grams of protein. And if you didn't need to go to the online store at Built.com, which is still a good idea, you can head down in person to your local Walmart or Sam's Club to pick up this deliciousness. That's right. Head to your nearest Walmart today. Head over to the pharmacy section and grab yourself a box of Built. A little 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puff is going to do the body and mind right. Make sure you head over to your nearest Walmart or Sam's Club and grab yourself a new box of Built. Or you can head over to Built.com and get whatever flavor you're feeling. Just like Steele and I love that real 100% chocolate from Built.
Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Don't forget, we are free and available on your favorite podcast platform, including YouTube. So make sure you go subscribe, hit the follow button. We appreciate all the love and all the support. Thank you so much for that. Let's continue on the topic of Bo Horvat. Definitely going to get traded before the deadline. Yep. Who's your last team that would be a great fit and skyrocket his fantasy value?
I had to look a little bit around after I read that report from Dreger about what the Canucks are looking to get back. And I take a look at the LA Kings, a team very stocked with young talent up front and a lot of prospects, Steele.
Yeah.
As well as when you look at their next 3 rounds in the draft next season, their first 6 rounds over the next 3 years, they have every single one of their picks. Every single one, including 3 first-round draft picks. The LA Kings are ready to make a deal with a team, and, they're hovering right around that cusp of the top 3 teams in the Pacific Division. Do the Canucks want to deal in division and see Bo Horvat a ton? I don't know, but they might want to do it more than dealing to the Boston Bruins, which will just light an absolute fire amongst this fan base, one that we know is very passionate and very close to their team. Say what you will about the Vancouver fan base. They are almost too close to this team, Steele. And when I take a look at Quinton Byfield, 3 first-round picks, I can't help but feel up the middle, Steele. Also, I know, Kopitar, Danault, okay. This could mean big things for the LA Kings team right there on the cusp. Are they, a Bo Horvat short of a cup? I don't know, but I know they'd be very much interested in adding a good, decently young center. Kopitar's not going to be around for long, and Horvat would look great as the captain in LA. I don't know, Steele. I don't know what you think about this take. They have the pieces. They have the will, and I think this just makes sense for me. That's my last team where Bo Horvat could land.
It does make a little bit of sense here. I know for a fact, though, that the LA Kings are also trying to acquire defensemen as well. And I know Jakob Chychrun or Shane Gostisbehere has been linked to the LA Kings as well.
Both. So Rob Blake is out there right now.
It could happen for sure, and that would make them a very, very good favorite heading into the playoffs if they can get a Horvat or a Chychrun type of deal going on. My last team is not a playoff team. I just think this would be a great Steve Yzerman type of trade. Detroit Red Wings would be absolutely incredible if Steve Yzerman could get a deal done somehow. Clearly, we've talked about this. They're clearly still a team that's work in progress right now. We thought that they would be a little bit better. And I know there's a lot of names up in the air, Dylan Larkin, Tyler Bertuzzi, a couple more that could be trade pieces. But I'm thinking about it. Definitely keep Dylan Larkin. He's such a special talent. You can't trade him. If you do trade him, you're going to get a ton of return. I think it's about time that the Detroit Red Wings consider trading Tyler Bertuzzi and making him and maybe a young defenseman or another defenseman on their team, picks a prospect, whatever it is, to trade for a guy like Bo Horvat. I think he would be a great second-line center. I don't think Andrew Kopp is cutting it for them right now. 4 goals on the season. I know goal scoring is not his forte. It's not the highlight of his game, but 4 goals on the season is not good enough. He has 21 assists. He's more of an apple man, but 4 goals as a second line center is not good, and they definitely need some more scoring. If they can somehow get a deal done for Bo Horvat, that just sets them way ahead for the next season. And again, just continue to progress and develop and get better and better every single year.
That's one of the caveats that's very hard. We're talking about this because it is a hot topic. Well, those caveats that you mentioned make it very difficult to see where Horvat's going to land. He's going to land somewhere, Steele. This Vancouver situation is an absolute mess. We talked about it the other day, and if you missed that episode, hit the channel for all of the latest fantasy breakdowns. Speaking of which, we got big-time bets coming up. We're going to talk about Pastrnak, and we're going to talk about Rantanen in a hot second. Bo Horvat's on the move. So keep your eye wherever he goes. It's going to have fantasy impact. And the second it happens, you can tune into all of the channels from the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast for the latest. But I'm with you, man. This is just a little bit of a hot topic because he's been so good this year. He's a captain. He gets it done on both ends of the ice, power play, penalty kill, and what have you. So that's why I think we need to head over to this Mikko Rantanen, David Pastrnak conversation. Only 2 games on the betting board tonight, people. So the bets are going to be very short today. If you don't mind, Steele, I'm going to kick this off. David Pastrnak, to me, he was the Rocket Richard winner only a couple of years ago. 4th in Hart voting. Mikko Rantanen is an amazing player. Yeah. And what he's been able to get done this year with the Colorado Avalanche's injuries deserves some serious respect. Not even credit, not even fantasy value, respect, because that Colorado Avalanche team has been hanging on by a thread named Alex Gorgiev and Mikko Rantanen. That's the thread that they've been hanging on by. So it's really, I can tell you're ready to go off about Rantanen, and I appreciate that. Pastrnak has been getting it done, and this man's been getting it done since he was 18 years in the NHL when he entered and played 46 games and had 27 points. 292 assists, 275 goals. He is better than a point per game player. David Pastrnak is an absolute beast, and you might go, he's playing with Bergeron, he's playing with Marchand. He's actually played a ton of games without both because of how injured and suspended both have been. And I like to come on here and say both of these players are amazing. But seriously, both of these players are amazing. And David Pastrnak, 35 goals, 28 assists this season. To me, he's the clear winner. And I'll finish it with this, Steele, before I turn it over to you. 47 game-winning goals in his career to the 28 of Mikko Rantanen, and they're not that far off in games played. 100, still. David Pastrnak, for me, is the pick.
Look, you can't go wrong with either guys. I passed up on Pastrnak and ended up taking Mikko Rantanen in the first round, the second round of our draft. So I went with Rantanen, and he's been stellar. And, you said to your point as well, like, it's not like David Pastrnak's played with Marchand and guys the entire season. He's, Marchand was out for the first month and a bit. Charlie McAvoy was out for the bit. So, again, the fact that he was able to do that, not the same type of deal like Mikko Rantanen. Mikko Rantanen had McKinnon out for 4 weeks, Landeskog the entire year, Nichushkin out multiple times.
And missing Nas.
Missing Nas as well. A ton of downside to Mikko Rantanen's year with the guys he hasn't been able to play with the entire season, but he still produced at an elite level. 56 points in 43 games. 26 years. They're both 26 years old, so right in their prime, right entering their prime. 31 goals, 56 points in 43 games. Look, Pastrnak, you're gonna get more shots. He shoots the puck pretty much 8 times a game. It seems like
way more
shots are up there. Way more shots for David Pastrnak. Hits and blocks are around the same. Can't deny it. Points, points. 56 points for Rantanen, 63 or 65 points, something around there for David Pastrnak. So he's up there in points. 63. But I'm looking at this at a long term right now. A little bit of a long term right now.
I like it.
Rantanen. He's in a much better position than David Pastrnak for the remainder of his career. You look at the guys he's surrounded by right now. McKinnon, 27. Nichushkin, 27. Lehkonen, 27. Makar, 24. And even Landeskog, 30. Even Gorgiev. I'll throw Gorgiev in there. He's 25 or 26.
Might as well.
Pastrnak, he's 26. Marchand's up there in age, 34 years old. Bergeron, 37 years old. Krejci, 36 years old.
Krejci's likely done at the end of this season.
Exactly.
As well.
So it's going to be hard for him once these players move on and they retire at the end of their career. What's going to happen? The Boston Bruins are still going to be an elite team, but he's not going to have those guys that he's played with since he's entered the NHL back in 2014. Rantanen will have these guys for pretty much the rest of his career with the Colorado Avalanche. So I'm taking Mikko Rantanen every single day in a keeper league just for long-term reasons.
I appreciate that, but I'll throw this at you. He is an unrestricted free agent at the end of this season. And given all of the news in the media over his disappointment with the GM and the front office in Boston, something tells me David Pastrnak might not be sticking around too long in Boston. And if that's the case, that what you just said might not hold as much water, Steele. But look, at the end of the day, David Pastrnak, Mikko Rantanen, oh my goodness, you can't go wrong with either. And I might just say, actually, I might disagree with you for that fantasy keeper angle. Personally, I might be hanging on to Pastrnak and just, it might be bolder, though. It might be bolder because you are right. Rantanen has that kind of, that buffer of the good players around him. And Boston, who knows what they're going to do after this season. Hey, that's why you listen to this show, and that's why you continue to take the breakdowns that we're going to provide right now. So far, Pasternak's my choice, Steele. But I love me some Rantanen as well, and I love me some big-time bets. It's a mini board, but let's get right to it.
Let's get to it. Mini board, 2 games on the schedule. Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Don't forget, we are free and available on your favorite podcast platforms, including YouTube. So go hit the subscribe, hit the follow button. Appreciate all the love, all the support our listeners show us. So thank you so much for that. We're going to do our best here. 2 games on the schedule, another battle, back-to-back for the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Ottawa Senators.
Yes.
Ottawa won their game last week. I'm actually staying away from that one. I'm looking at the other game for the flip triple dip over here.
Oh,
Colorado Avalanche and the Vancouver Canucks. Have to go there. The Avalanche have been too good. They're scoring.
I don't even want to wait, Steele. I don't want to keep the listeners waiting. Reel me off all 3, baby, because I'm trying to make some more money this week.
Yeah, you better keep sending your pictures of their picks over to me because I'm looking to make some money as well. First pick of the night. Avalanche Canucks over 6.5 goals. This just screams high-scoring game. Look, the game the other night between the Canucks and the Lightning came out and scored 4 goals in the first period. They won 5-2. Stammer gets his 500th goal. He gets the hat trick. It's going to be that type of game. It's going to be a blowout, in my opinion. I can see the Avalanche winning this 6-2, 6-3 type of score. Over 6.5 at -128 right now. Second pick of the night. Haven't decided yet. Avalanche on the money line or Avalanche on the puck line. Puck line is +155, so you're getting good odds. The Avalanche have won the last few games by more than 2 goals, I believe. They've been great of late. And again, the Canucks have just been dog water of recently, or the entire season for that matter. So I most likely will go with the Avalanche on the puck line +155 to join that in a parlay. Rantanen anytime goal as
there
well.
He is.
Lock of the night. I'm going with my boy over here. Mikko Rantanen has been stellar. I believe I saw a stat the other day. He was the fastest Colorado Avalanche to 30 goals in a season or something like that.
Interesting.
I'm going with my boy Mikko Rantanen to score anytime in this game. Maybe even a multi-goal game. Not going to bet on that, but it's going to be a good night for the Avalanche.
Hey, I think it's going to be a good night for the Avalanche. Sue us if this doesn't make sense to you, because the Colorado Avalanche have been impressing me, and I've been betting them all week. And I said when they banged out the Ottawa Senators 7-0, it was going to be a turnaround. They get Nichushkin back. I know this Makar wrinkle. He goes out. He's only day-to-day. He might even be back tonight. I don't think he will be, but he might be. And still, honestly, Colorado Avalanche have proven over the last couple of games that they still have it. They still should not be overlooked as a dark horse cup contender. The Vancouver Canucks are a dumpster fire. They're talking about selling off pieces and moving on. Their coach is getting fired maybe. That's a mess, and I don't even really care. I'm going hard against these Canucks, and what you said about the over, that's what I really like, and I'm going to get to that in a second. But let me just hit up this Batherson situation between the Sens and Pens. Drake Batherson, I love this player, Steele. And give me some credit here. I watched the entire game between the Pittsburgh Penguins and Ottawa Senators the other night. And that return to the lineup from Josh Norris
Yeah.
provided such an injection of energy to what is already a very good, young, and energized top six forward group in Ottawa. Yes, they allowed 4 goals. Yes, they came back and won 5-4. They're going to continue to score goals at will, Steele.
Yeah.
Drake Batherson, 14 goals this season, 26 assists. I love me a Batherson anytime assist here. Sends at Pens. That's my first pick. And my following 2 picks and my lock of the night. And I know you're going to like my lock of the night when I talk about a player that I said wasn't going to have a good start. And now he's coming on strong. My second pick, Avs at Canucks, over 6.5. That just feels like absolutely the right move. 5 of the last 7 games on the road against Vancouver for the Avs have gone over the number. I'm taking the over 6.5. That's my second bet. And let me just come to a little player named Devin Taves.
Yes,
Devin
sir.
Taves. You knew I was going to go here, Steele, because now he's starting to look real good. And maybe all he needed was a little bit of push from that coaching staff saying, Devin, we need you in the absence of Cale Makar. He stepped up against the Calgary Flames. 27 minutes of ice time, 2 block shots, +3 and 2 assists. Devin Taves, assist anytime. My lock of the night. It's going to be a lot of goals in Vancouver tonight, Steele. And you know Devin Taves is going to be on the end of it, especially if he has to continue to fill in for Cale Makar, which it looks like he will be. That's my lock of the night, my friend. And I know you're liking that one.
Absolutely love it. I believe he has 4 assists in his last 3 games as well. He's done
5 assists in his last 3.
5 assists in his last 3 games. He's racking up the apples right now, getting some power play time.
Exactly.
Absolutely love that. I like your Sens pick as well. Look, I watched that Sens game too.
Yep.
They dominated the Penguins, and if it wasn't for Cam Talbot doing a little switcheroo with Jack Campbell, letting some muffins in through the
There was
glove,
a couple of muffins. Thank you.
2 muffins through the glove on his part. So if Cam Talbot was a little bit better, they would have dominated the Pittsburgh Penguins. I like all 3 of your picks as well. I might even add Devin Taves anytime assist to this parlay. Same game parlay for that matter. Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Once again, we're available Monday through Friday, 7 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. We also release a couple of YouTube shorts as well, big time bets, waiver wire targets, sometimes daily fantasy as well. So make sure you're tuning into the YouTube shorts on that part. Get them on your favorite podcast platform. Make sure you subscribe, hit the follow button. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate all the love and support. Have a great day. Good luck with all your bets out there, and we shall see you back here again on Monday.
Peace.